All right, we're live with you on Twitter and on YouTube. Now we got to bring in our wonderful friends over there on Facebook Live and get them going. You guys know what to do, and there they are. Hello, everybody on Facebook Live. The early arrivals, you set the tone, you set the bar, you set the table. You do a lot of setting, unless you're standing. What do? You let us know the audio is good. You let us know the video is good. How do you do that? Give us thumbs up. You give us hearts. You do all those sorts of things. That way, we know that we are good to get on down the road. It is going to be a big Friday broadcast tonight. A lot of stuff going on. This will go down as one of the more memorable days in college athletics history, no doubt about it. We want to hear from you on the text line. Hit us up 806 772 0197. Those of you on Twitter Live and on YouTube, that's how we communicate with you guys, just like the radio show. 806 772 0197. YouTube, you jump in just like you do normally on the Talking Box. Indeed, Craig says the Talking Box is on. Lynn jumping in, Matthew jumping in. Good evening, Lynn. That's not bad today. We'll let a few more folks get in, then we'll be off and running on a Friday night. Just like every Friday, you can tell us the most Texan thing you have done. That is a standing order around here every Friday. If you were there on the website, you already know that this morning, theraiderland.com, the most Texan thing you've done. We're here to make sure you guys, maintain your Texanness as properly as possible. All right, let's do it in 3, in 2. Good evening, West Texans, all you good, fine, friendly folks out there who wish you were. I'm Ryan Hyatt, theraiderland.com, the website. We have everything waiting for you right there. Start your day there, answer the question of the day, and all the other original content that we have for you. Coming to you from the Arctic Air Studios. I guess we got up to around 100 today. It felt like it. It felt hot, felt like August. So, yeah, if your air is not Arctic, you need to call the bear. Callthebear.com. It's Arctic Air. Also brought to you by a place that's going to have some Arctic air coming soon. Lifts West Hotel and Condominium in Red River, New Mexico. Our home away from home when we're staying in Red River. You guys give my man Billy a holler if you're looking to do something maybe over Labor Day. I think they have a few vacancies over Labor Day. And then all the fall, I say fall, obviously we're a little ways off to fall, but you got your Aspen Cage. You got all sorts of cool stuff coming up in September and October. That's a great time to be up there at Lifts West. We're also coming to you today in part by the Shropshire Agency, independent, just like you West Texans. You don't have to ask how Texan they've been. Go to their website, check it out for the Shropshire Agency. Also a great Facebook page, and they do a great online magazine. Very involved in the community. We thank them for everything they do there at the Shropshire Agency. All right, we're off and running tonight. It's official. Oregon, Washington going to the Big Ten. The Four Corner Schools coming to the Big 12. The Pac-12 is no more. Well, I say it's no more. I mean, it's no more the way we are used to seeing it. So, in there today, Craig. Next time we have a week without football will be after the Super Bowl. Yeah, my wife, we have Midnight Madness practice tonight for my son's team. They put the pads on for the first time tonight. So that's why they're doing their midnight. 8 straight weeks, counting scrimmages and everything until the first open date. Proposed to my wife at the Alamo years ago. She had to promise to be a good Texan. Damn right, she had to earn that. Put a lot of pressure on her there. See in Red River in late October. That's we're typically there late October, early November. Not quite sure what the time frame is going to work out this year, but be cool to be able to hang out with some of you guys up there. Weston is watching. Dallas is in today. Good luck finding anything to talk about today. Wish there's some news out there. Yeah, just not much going on. I mean, I don't know why you guys on Twitter and on YouTube today want to text in, but if you want to, you can. 806-772-0197. So I'm a huge proponent of the term Occam's razor and the theory of Occam's razor, which the most logical explanation, this is in a nutshell, is typically the right explanation. And we end up with Occam's razor after all this time, going back over the last year, that you're going to end up now with Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA out of the Pac-12 in the Big Ten, which is where we kind of thought this would end up. Logically, that seemed to be the most logical outcome. And if you go back a year ago or so, the most logical outcome also seemed to be the Big 12 setting their sights on the so-called four corner schools, Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado. And guess what is happening today? It happened last night. Somebody on the text line, and this was earlier today, supposedly there was a Big 12 meeting last night. Have you heard anything on what transpired? Well, yeah. I mean, I assume you have too, that the Big 12 has been meeting to accept the applications of the schools. So last night they met presidents and CEOs and said, yeah, okay, we'll take Arizona. Today, the other schools are applying, and the Big 12 will meet and say, okay, yeah, we'll take those three schools, and that's how this works. The Big 12 doesn't invite. The Big 10 doesn't invite. You apply. You ask. Now you ask knowing what the answer is going to be. So here we are with it all basically playing out the way we thought it would play out. Are you surprised? Are you excited? Are you disappointed in any form or fashion as it becomes the reality today? And by the way, ACC, you're next. You're next. The networks will come for you. And in the next couple of years, or however long they decide they want to take, the ACC will be piecemealed out, and in some form or fashion, and we'll get where we're going to get. Isn't it ironic that the Big 12 is now the third most powerful conference in college sports? It is a new reality, as Lynn says right there. Absolutely. And the Big 12, thanks to the leadership of Brett Yormark, people like Dr. Lawrence Skouvenek, some of the others around the league, you have within the last year and a half taken a death sentence and turned it into an incredibly stable situation, as much as it can be, in the world of college athletics for the foreseeable future, whatever that may be. So what does it mean for Texas Tech? If you're watching this, if you're a Texas Tech fan, what do you think it means? I'll tell you what it means. It's an opportunity that Texas Tech has to take advantage of and continue doing what they've been doing, but just doing more of it. And hopefully this is not a moment where the Texas Tech fan base will excel and say, oh man, this is great, we're set. No. This isn't the end of anything. This might be the end of the beginning, but this isn't the end of anything, except maybe the beginning process of winnowing out even more over the next 5 to 10 years. That any Texas Tech fans sitting there today going, ah, man, we're set. Hey, the truck stop conference is real. Take that, Utah. I think Utah, by the way, and Arizona State should be allowed into the Big 12, but they get exactly $1 less forever than everybody else, just because we can. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about the death of the Pac-12, the rise of the Big 12, what it means for Texas Tech, what happens from here, your thoughts on it, anything, everything. Also, the most Texan thing you've done this week, that's every Friday around Raiderland. I know it's kind of getting snowed under by the news of the day. And if you want to jump in on the text line, if you're watching on Twitter and you're watching on YouTube, that's how you get in on the show. 806-772-0197. Says it right there on the screen. It's easy to do. It's easy to get in that way. Off the said text line, do you think Oregon State and Washington State get into the Big 12 too? No, I do not. I do not think they will. There's no reason to have them. You don't need them. There was a report out that was being propped up by some Pac-12 media that ESPN was really disappointed and sad, and they won't have anything on the West Coast. They don't care. That's such a bogus report. There's no reason for them to be in. No reason whatsoever. You don't take those two teams. You just don't. And we'll talk a little bit more about the leftovers in the Pac-12 today and in the coming days and why they are where they are. It's nothing that was done to them. It's all who they are. Becky says Texas Tech needs to be top dog in the Big 12. I'm all for that. I think if you're going to be a dog, you should be a top dog. Most Texan thing I did was have an all subs beef and bean burrito. There you go. Used to be created by New Mexicans, popular in Texas, now by a group out of Iowa. And let's have a real talk here. Quality is going down. All subs quality is going down. It's not the same place. Let's be honest with each other. It's not the same. It's not as good. Gary is watching what he doesn't know. We're watching you, Gary. Dallas will be fun to see new teams in the Jones, Kansas State, Iowa State, Kansas, etc. We're betting boring. We're getting boring. We're getting boring. Really? What kind of attention span do you have? Getting boring. It's not like they're there every year. Oh. So what is Texas? What if you're Texas Tech now? What? First off, let's examine this from the standpoint of how long does this last? Somewhere between 5 and 10 years until the next convulsion, the next compression, the next wave, whether that be football only, the complete breakaway from the NCAA, whatever that may be. It'll take about 5 to 7 years of these current contracts, SEC, Big 10, Big 12, then whatever we decide to do with the ACC as it lives on borrowed time, to winnow its way through, flesh out the new 12-team and soon-to-be 16-team college football playoff and decide what to do. So let's say, I'm going to say you better be in position 5 years from now. That long-term right now is 5 years from now. What does Texas Tech need to do? I'll tell you what they need to do. What they're doing, but more of it. Texas Tech announcing today season tickets are sold out. Texas Tech continuing on with the Southeast End Zone construction and facilities upgrades. Texas Tech as an institution continuing to invest and do things that a lot of schools did not do until it was too late. So that's part of it. The other part of it is on the fan side. The engagement must continue to go up. Now, buying tickets is first and foremost. That's it. You got to show up. You got to go to the football games. Tech's got to sell out. Like from here on out, Texas Tech, Jones Stadium has to be sold out forever and ever and ever. That if there's a game, there's 58,000 people there, or whatever the new capacity is going to be. It's going to be a little lower, by 58, 60, right in through there. Doesn't matter. It has to be sold out going forward. That's part of the deal. Basketball to a lesser extent, although it's really handy because it gives you a lot of money. And if you've got a basketball program like Texas Tech does, that's not a money suck and that actually is revenue neutral or makes money, that's massive for an athletic program. And Texas Tech falls into that category. Baseball, it's hard to be revenue neutral anymore in high-level college baseball. Even if you had 8,000 seats and were sold out, it would be hard to be revenue neutral just because of the expenses of the sport. That's beside. But you've got to buy the ticket. Okay, so you're doing a good job on that. You announced today that it's sold out. That's great. Hey, I'm old enough to remember when Texas and Oklahoma leave the Big 12 and Texas A&M, nobody will ever buy tickets to Tech games. Nobody will ever go. Tech will never sell tickets. You can't sell tickets without those schools. People only go to Tech games to see the other teams. Well, guess what? Turns out that's false. You know? It's false. But one of the biggest things Texas Tech fans are going to have to condition themselves to over the next 4 or 5 years is getting involved in every measurable metric that is possible out there. And one of those ways is going to be streaming. Now, if you're watching this podcast right now live, and if you're on Twitter, if you're on YouTube channel, you can text in on the text line 806-772-0197. If you're watching on Facebook, you can type in the Say Something box. That's great. Hi there, Becca. ESPN Plus. Texas Tech fans, every Texas Tech fan needs to sign up for ESPN Plus. Every time there is an event that involves Texas Tech on ESPN metric, Texas Tech has to blow the doors off that because that is going to be one of the biggest provable metrics that a school is going to be able to bring to the networks and the streaming partners in the coming years. And remember, we're talking 5 years. There needs to be a massive push by Texas Tech to encourage the fan base to get as aggressive as possible in accessing any and all media that features Texas Tech in the Big 12. And that every opportunity you get to click on something that is watching Texas Tech, that and if it involves, $5 a month, $10 a month, Texas Tech needs to lead the way in that. That is going to be a massive, massive defining factor 5 years from now, 7 years from now, when we go through all this again. The Texas Tech fans are going to have to, and again, I think Texas Tech as a university should be pushing this, that they're going to have to get on ESPN Plus. They're going to have to subscribe to these services. They're going to have to show that they will pay to play, because it's going to be massive going forward. Chris says, have not missed a game in hardly any sport with the Red Raiders since I got ESPN Plus. I mean, it's great. You watch baseball, basketball. It's unbelievable. Basically, every game is televised now. ESPN $10.79 a month with fees. That is one McDonald's Big Mac supersized meal. Or around here, that's half of a Whataburger for me these days. Good Lord, they get bought by Chicago. Raise the prices. Come on, man. Allsup's is out of Iowa. Whataburger's out of Chicago. I'm running out of places. Hey there, Lonnie. Glad you're watching. Is that the real David Collier watching? I don't know. So more or less, Texas Tech fans, hey, celebrate today. Celebrate what happened, because this is huge. You didn't just survive, you thrived. The Big 12 didn't just make it. The Big 12 is now firmly entrenched and will be as the number 3 conference going forward. Congratulations. That's going to last all of 5 to 6 to 7 years. That what this does is buy you time at the highest level of college athletics, on the highest stage, on the biggest stage you can be on. It buys you time to prove that you're going to deserve to be there the next go around. Of course, David Collier, KMAC 28 sports director, huge fan of realignment news. Chris, Hulu Love bundled. It's a steal for Red Raider fans. Hulu. I can't Hulu. I'm a married man. Not sure that's allowed. Those of you on Twitter and on YouTube Live, you can join the conversation with the text line. It's on the screen, 806-772-0197. Get your thoughts today. I say the Big Ten finished off the Pac-12. The Pac-12 died of its own volition because the Pac-12 wasn't good enough, and it wasn't important enough, and most of the schools in the Pac-12 were stupid, and they were led by stupid people, willfully ignorant people. USC and UCLA didn't kill the Pac-12. The Big Ten didn't kill the Pac-12. Brett Yormark didn't kill the Pac-12. The Pac-12 died because it just wasn't important enough for most of them to be a part of big-time college athletics. And they completely misanalyzed, misread the room over the last decade plus. That's why the Pac-12 is going to go away. You're going to see these sad, tear-jerking stories about Oregon State and Washington State and what it'll mean there in Corvallis and what it'll mean Pullman and places like that. You know what? It didn't mean shit before. It won't mean much now. When you're getting 30,000 people to go to your games. Well, these are small communities, and the SEC, go look at the population of the SEC schools. Go look at the population of Manhattan, Kansas. Hell, Kansas, Lawrence, Ames. Don't give me that. It wasn't important to those schools. Pac-12 arrogance killed the Pac-12. They could have absolutely survived. They could have taken in 4 Big 12 schools a year ago, didn't want to have anything to do with this. Now they're looking at San Diego State, Boise, SMU, whatever. I don't have any sympathy for them. Certainly not Stanford and Cal. They don't care, and they shouldn't be in the highest levels of collegiate sports. But I really don't have much sympathy because Oregon State and Washington State could have done what other schools around the country have done. And their fan bases could have done it, but it's not important to them, and that's okay. It's not a priority to those people. That's okay. But I don't want to sit here and hear what happened to them. You know, Chris says the toxic attitudes of UT and OU are gone. I think OU's attitude wasn't really that toxic to me. I was with OU. I don't like 11 a.m. starts. OU's biggest sin was thinking in 2011 that they had to be coupled with Texas in order to survive, and they didn't. Oklahoma never realized the strength that they had as a brand, and they got snowballed and snookered by Texas. Oklahoma, if Oklahoma had stood on its own brand and been willing to break away from Texas, we could have seen a much different Western expansion over the previous decade plus. That was the biggest problem with Oklahoma, that they sold themselves short. Jason is watching. Scott is watching. You guys join in on the text line 806-772-0197. As the Pac-12, no more. It'll remain in name. They will bring in the Mountain West conferences. The Big 12 gets what they really wanted in the beginning. You wanted the four corners. You wanted a Western footprint, not too far. You bring in automatic rivalries with Arizona State, BYU and Utah. And we've got a couple of schools now that are going to come in that we can all get behind and hate on. But we can hate on Utah. And, I hadn't really had anything against Arizona State. And I don't think Arizona State's people are the problem. I think the Utah fan problem. You're watching from a restaurant near Sam's Club. They're in Vegas. Are you in Vegas? Or like a Sam's Club shopping center. I don't know. You tell me. Yeah, I don't think Arizona State fans are really the problem. I think it's just their brain dead leadership. Their AD and then their President Crow idiots. I don't think the Arizona State fans are problem. Now, the Utah fans, problematic. They deserve all the hell they get. That's why I say they should get forever $1 less. But this is great. You bring in automatic schools that you can get behind. We can get behind going, yeah, just be glad we let you in. Pretty much be glad we let you in. You take what you get. All right? Colorado grateful. BYU can be happier to be here. Arizona, loving every minute of it. Welcome, Jason Shear. Talk about subscribing to stuff. Jason Shear, 24/7 Sports. Jump on that. The Utah people, the hell with them. So there you go. That's where we are tonight. Got a few more minutes. We typically will not be with you on Friday nights during the football season. That will be reserved for my son's adventures and for the Ropes Eagles. But since we got Midnight Madness tonight, we have plenty of time to get on with you guys. Next week, I'll be in scrimmage mode the next 2 Fridays, and then game mode starting on the 25th. So we will not be with you on Fridays during the football season. Of course, we'll have Raiderland. Easy for me to say. Raiderland Rewind after all the Texas Tech games, and then during the week we'll be with you. And we might even sneak in a special Sunday night deal. Looking at putting together a Sunday night panel. It's hard to get people to work on Sunday nights. I get it. Some people like their families and want to spend time with their families and do things, but and it might be something that's even recorded a little bit, but might put together a little Sunday panel. We've been talking about doing that. Saying it's official, Utah, Arizona, and Arizona State in. Yeah, they're all in. They're all applying tonight. They are going to be approved tonight by Big 12 officials, and then probably tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow. Jason Shear reported that the goal would be to announce all 3 of them tomorrow. So you get them all. Text line 806-772-0197. Position my son plays. He's center. Can also work in at guard, and then anytime they need him on defense, he can go in at defensive end. But primarily, he is the returning center for the Ropes Eagles. Number 66 in your program, number 1 in your heart. Reed Hyatt there. Yeah, hardly breaking news, I think, at this point, the way today has gone. Best basketball conference by far. If not by far, it's the best basketball conference. I mean, my God. And you can still add Gonzaga basketball only. And I don't think Brett Yormark is done looking at UConn. Now, this gets into a different side conversation on the UConn deal. Brett Yormark's a hell of a businessman, and he knew that by having it very public that he wanted UConn as a full member. The presidents and CEOs of the Big 12 were never really sold on that. They were like, okay, basketball only, yeah. We like this idea of breaking out basketball TV contracts, separating it from football. We like that. We like Gonzaga basketball only. Gonzaga, of course, basketball only because they don't do anything else. But they were cool to the idea of UConn full-fledged member. UConn, for his part, is pretty cool to the idea of basketball only. But Yormark knew that by dangling it that he had, again, supply-side economics. The supply side that he had was there are a finite number of spots that you can put teams in. And you're probably full for now, which is why you don't take Oregon State or Washington State at 16. And with the demise of the ACC looming, you'd like to be able to pick up a couple of schools that direction. But by working UConn so publicly, Yormark put a lot of pressure, I think, on schools like Utah, like Arizona State, to not hold out or wait or do anything and think, well, maybe we'll get a better. No, this is the best deal you're going to get today, and somebody can easily take your spot. I would love to see Gonzaga and UConn in basketball only. Gonzaga would do it in a heartbeat. I just don't know if UConn would do that. I mean, they've got a good basketball situation, obviously, where they are right now. You know, what would the upgrade be as in killing themselves through the Big 12 in basketball only? I think it'd be hard to get. Need a UCF rival or more for West Virginia and Cincinnati. Yeah, I mean, that would help. And I think it's folly to sit there and think we are done right now. That you wouldn't see with the demise of the ACC coming. The Big 12 maybe pick up a team or two. So we'll see. What happens to the Apple Cup, for goodness sake? Ain't nothing stopping them from playing it. Oregon sent out a press release late today about basically, hey, we're really aware that everybody at Oregon State's mad. And this is different from like Texas and Oklahoma and even Missouri and Kansas, that there was enmity. There was huge enmity on both sides. Oregon doesn't have anything against Oregon State. Oregon State doesn't have it. I think you can maintain that for sure. You can maintain Washington State. There's no reason you can't play that as a non-conference game. And if you're Washington and you're Oregon, let's be honest, neither one of those schools is so good that you would mind having them fill up your dance card in non-conference play. You know, they're only going to get worse. So you schedule that, and you can, I think if you are the Big Ten, you can work some schedules. And if you want to play that later in the year and not have a week 2 or a week 3 deal, you can say, you know what, Washington, Oregon, that's when their rivalry games are going to be. When Michigan's playing Ohio State, you can play the Apple Cup, knock yourself out. It's the south end zone, south end of the is the end of the playoffs for college football still a Final Four? No, it's going to 12. Late to the broadcast. As big Pac-12 turned into the six-pack, you're getting 4 teams going to be left. 4 teams, Pac-4. Cal, Stanford, Washington State, and Oregon State. That's all that's left. That's all that's there anymore. Good luck to them. Should have been better. You could have committed to it at any time over the last 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years. But it's just not that important to them, and that's why they're not going to be. There are a lot of schools that don't need to be playing major college football, right? There are a lot of schools, a lot of programs that don't need to be at the highest levels of college football. Let's be honest, that's reality. SMU doesn't need to be there. Rice doesn't need to be there. Foregone conclusion. Thank you. Packensack, the new conference sponsor for the former Pac-12. Listen, a corner store may have enough money to actually be the sponsor going forward for whatever the Pac will be known as. I mean, like I said, they're going to roll in. They're going to merge whatever legal wrangling keeps teams from having to pay each other a bunch of money. The Mountain West and the remaining 4 teams are basically a conference now. So there you go. Whatever that ends up being. You can text in on the text line 806-772-0197 if you're watching on YouTube and Twitter Live. That is the best way for us to be able to visit with you, communicate with you. We'll go just a few more minutes tonight on a rare Friday night broadcast. We have discussed what the important things are for Texas Tech going forward. While this is a day to celebrate, Tech should look at this as this just bought you another 5 years, 6 years, 7 years to ensure that you are in whatever the New World Order will look like with football going forward, Anna's in Holton. Very cool. And they got a location in Lubbock over there off Indiana in 66 or so. It buys you about 5 or 7 years. This isn't the end. This is maybe the end of the beginning, but this is not the end. It's a day to celebrate because you're not the Pac-12. And quite frankly, you're also not the ACC. But this is just the beginning. Jared just saw the new turf, Wyoming. I like the mountain backdrop in the end zones. I haven't seen it. So they got all artsy-fartsy with the end zones at Wyoming. I don't know how that's going to sit with the old Wyoming Cowboy fan base, man. They're pretty meat and taters. They went back to their traditional darker brown and old gold color a few years ago. Of course, Joe Tiller, when he was there, he had them in some pretty cool looking uniforms too. I love the Cowboy logo. Good logo. I like Tech playing Wyoming. It's good. Tech and Wyoming just makes sense. Play those people some more. Amazing in 1 year, Yormark's position in the Big 12 is a solid number 3. Yeah. A lot of credit to Brett Yormark. A lot of credit to, like I said, Dr. Skubnik, a lot of the Big 12 leaders for doing one of 2 things. Going along with it, encouraging it, enabling it, or 2, just get the hell out of the way. I think for the most part, most of the Big 12 CEOs were in concert that hey, let's do this. We're going to do this. The complete opposite of how the Pac-12 leadership reacted over the last year or 2. The ACC has sat by quietly over all this because they're stuck with their grant of rights. They screwed up. They all signed a suicide pact, and they know it. And there's no reason for the networks had every reason in the world to kill off the Pac-12. The networks had every reason in the world to move teams around into the Big 10, into the Big 12, move Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC. Right now, the networks really don't have a huge reason to want to open up anything for the ACC. Now, when they decide that they want to move Clemson, they want to move Florida State, they want to move Miami, they want to move North Carolina, when they decide they want to do that, that's when it will happen. But not until then. I mean, the ACC really can't do a thing. I mean, if ACC as a group were to agree to open up the rights, the conference is over. There is no ACC. Any chance we get a Hyatt ranking of logos for the new? Yeah, yes, nicely. I like doing rankings. I'm not opposed to doing rankings at all. Should I take a nap before I go to Midnight Madness tonight? All right, let me rephrase the question. 806-772-0197. Green, white, checker hard tonight. Do I take a nap before I go to the midnight practice, or do I just go to bed and then get up early and go to practice? Either way, I'm going to be laying down between now and then. There ain't no 2 ways about it. You guys are the best audience out there. We thank all of our great sponsors, Lifts West Hotel and Condominium in Red River, New Mexico. Obviously, the Shropshire Agency, independent, And if you've got a business and you haven't updated your insurance in a while, give Jeff and the crew over there at Shropshire a holler. And of course, the Bear, Arctic Air, making sure the air is Arctic. At least a 30-minute nap. Make sure to set an alarm. Oh, I don't think I'm going to have to worry about getting up. The house will be a madhouse. So nap or full on. I mean, it could just be full on going to bed. I may put on my nightcap, get my night clothes on, and I just may get in bed. Get up early. Off the text line, no nap. Yeah, I'm taking a nap. It's not. It's a matter of nap or just going to bed. I wouldn't call it a great show, Scott, but if you want to, I'm not going to stop you. I'm not. We're not going to stop you. All right, we're going to finish up. First, we got to say goodbye to the Twitter and the YouTube crowd. They got on first. They got to go away first. Do we end the broadcast? Yes.